بسم الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear little children, tonight is the night of the 3rd of Dhul Qa'dah, 1442 years after the Hijjah of the Prophet ﷺ, which coincides with June 13, 2021. I welcome you back to our Hajj and Umrah series. And today we are going to talk about the months of the Hajj and the days of the Hajj. The Islamic months, as you know, it's based upon the lunar calendar, and our lunar calendar, of course, has some special characteristics, which is we don't start our month except with the sighting of the new moon. So this is the definition of our lunar calendar, and this calendar is designed and ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other calendar which everybody is nowadays used to is the Gregorian calendar, which is the solar calendar, and it's a fixed calendar. So that's why we have this apparent movement of the dates, Islamic dates. So you will see every year the dates, the Islamic dates of certain day would move about 12 to 15 days ahead, earlier, compared to the Gregorian calendar. This is the reason. The months of the Hajj is not an exception to that. So that's why sometimes we have Hajj in the winter, sometimes we have Hajj in the summer. Nowadays the Hajj is going to go through the summertime, and it's going to gradually move to earlier and earlier, and then it will go back to again the winter time. So remember something, that the months of the Hajj are fixed. What are the months of the Hajj? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Al-Hajju ashhurum ma'lumat. Hajj are the known months. Hajj is performed in the known months. Now what are these months? Now in the Arabic language we have the singular, the dual, and the plural. Plural has two plurals. Dual and anything more than two is also another term with which they define. For example, the month Shahr is 1 month, Shahrain is 2 months, Ashhur means more than 2 months. So now, we know for sure from this that there are more than 2 months for sure. But how many? Is it 3? Is it 4? Or is it 2.5? We do not have something from our Prophet ﷺ directly, but we have the statement of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. And this athar or this report is authenticated by the Imams of the Hadith. So this information is authentic to him. And he defined the Ashhuril Hurum as 3 months. Shawwal is the first month. Dhul Qa'dah is the second month, which is the month that we are in now today. And Dhul Hijjah is the third. So Shawwal, as you know, starts right after Ramadan. So the first day of Shawwal is the first day of the months of the Hajj. That's when the month of the Hajj starts. The month of the Hajj starts with, as you can see, one of the greatest celebration, Eid al-Fitr, which we had a month ago. And then it ends with the Dhul Hijjah, and Dhul Hijjah is the 12th month of the year. So once Dhul Hijjah finishes, the new lunar year starts. So these are the months of the Hajj: Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah. But now the question comes is, can we do Hajj at any time in these months? First of all, if somebody wants to perform Hajj, he cannot enter the ihram of the Hajj except in these 3 months. He has to start after the Shawwal, any day of Shawwal, or Dhul Qa'dah, or before the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. I believe the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, because if he misses 8, at least he catches 9th, as you will see, he will catch the Hajj. So this is the time for him to catch the ihram of the Hajj. He cannot start the ihram before that. For example, somebody is in Ramadan, he goes to Haram, Makkah, and he says, I start my Hajj now. Labbaik Allahumma bi Hajj. This will not be accepted. Why? Because it is before Shawwal. So the Hajj time starts ticking from Shawwal. And you can't enter the state of the Hajj, i.e. the ihram, no later than the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. So the days of the Hajj are fixed. That brings to the second point. The month of the Hajj is 3, but the days of the Hajj are fixed. Meaning, the days that you have to do certain actions, they cannot be done except in those specific days. Now, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, in general, gives us indication of those days. But He doesn't explicitly say which exact date it is. How do we know about that? We know that from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So we know that after a person enters the state of ihram and he completes the umrah, as you will learn later on inshallah, on the 8th, the official start of Hajj starts on the 8th. So the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the person, he enters the state of ihram again in Makkah for the Hajj. And then he goes to Mina on the 8th. And then from there on the 9th, he has to be in Arafah. If he misses Arafah during the daytime before the sunset, he has no Hajj. So the 9th is the most crucial day. But the crucial, keeping in mind, you have to be at a specific situation, at a specific area, location, which is called Arafah. We're going to talk about this more inshallah later on. And then on the 10th night, he has to move to a place called Muzdalifah. He must stay there at the night and he pray the Fajr in Muzdalifah. And on the 10th, which is the day of Eid, he has to go and throw the stone, and he has to do other things on the 10th to complete his Hajj. Then on the 11th and 12th and 13th, he has to stay in Mina. The 13th is the official end of the days of Hajj. But of course, those who have to perform what is known as the Tawaf al-Ifada, or the Tawaf of the Hajj, they can do that after the 13th, even all the way until the end of the month of the Hajj, inshallah ta'ala. So as you can see that although the months of the Hajj is a long period of time, which is almost 90 days maximum, because Islamic months cannot be more than 30 days, maximum 90 days, but you have some restriction. Hajj cannot be done except on the actions of the Hajj on a certain specific days of Dhul Hijjah. However, the person can enter the state of the ihram anytime, starting from a Shawwal all the way to the 9th of the 8th of the Dhul Hijjah, depending on where he is, inshallah, he can enter the state of the ihram. He cannot do that before. So now, to answer, to understand also, can we perform, let's say we miss the Hajj, 9th, can we go and do all the things of the Hajj after that? The answer is no. You can't. You have to come back the next year. But somebody would say, but Allah Ta'ala said, Al-Hajju Ashhurum Ma'lumat. And Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said, it's 3 months. Say, yes, that's for you to understand what are the time length. But there are other rules that Allah has revealed. This is not the only thing that is important for the Hajj to know. It's important for us to know the length of the months, and it's also important for us to know the days of the Hajj when the specific things happen and supposed to happen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to perform Hajj and Umrah one after another, inshallah ta'ala, which will remove poverty and which will remove, inshallah ta'ala, sins from our shoulders. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.